Welcome to Beyond the Box.
Our guests are insiders that are now out and on our side, dropping nuclear intel and breaking it down just for you.
And now it's time to introduce our hosts, Brenda Lankridge and Suzanne Haunt. Join us and subscribe for weekly shows. Beyond the Box begins now. Let's jump in.
Hello everybody, and welcome back to Beyond the Box. Yes, before anybody says anything, we changed a few things on the intro and exit, so we already know. We had Doug Phipps that was supposed to join us tonight, but at the kind of the last minute he canceled, so I couldn't get him replaced. So instead, Susie has decided that we are going to throw some stuff at you tonight to make you go, oh wow. We're going to talk about monsters. The Norse monsters, I guess you can say. And what was it you said, Susie? How we were going to, what were we going to do? I forgot already. Look at me.
I don't know. I said a lot of things. What part? I don't know. We're gonna shake it up with some monsters tonight, right?
Yeah. I mean, doesn't get really any stranger than that sometimes, I think.
Right.
No.
Right.
It's all right though. Hey, we can do this. And
yeah.
Anybody has any questions, we can always answer them. Instead, sit back and be enlightened on a few things. Susie and I have been watching videos for like the last hour. She's been sending them to me. She's been watching them. So yeah, we might even have some of those tonight. So right. Susie, you want to start us off first with our prayer, and hopefully Tommy and maybe Steven will be jumping in here soon. Sooner or later, I guess. I don't know. Right. They're boys.
That'd be good.
You know, they always say women are always late because, you know, we're getting ready. And I have. Right. Could you imagine if we were late all the time like the guys are? Okay, come on now. So, Susie, let's go ahead and we'll get our prayer done. And then when we're done with that, you can go ahead and start telling everybody what it is we're going to do tonight.
All right. I just want to like shout out to the Father, the Most High, good God. You know, none of this bad monster stuff came from him. Just saying, you know, that was a product of some other stuff. But you know, as they say, shit happens. You know, but. You know, I just want to shout out to the real Father, and I want to thank Jesus for being Jesus. And I am going to be talking a little bit about Jesus tonight, and I'm going to kind of lay out some stories, and it's going to shake up a lot of people probably, but oh well, you know, get ready to, you know, get shook a little bit, because I'm not going to like give you that candy coated story. I'm not that girl. Okay. I got it. And, you know, and I ask the Father of truth and righteousness and goodness and peace and love and joy and happiness, and the one that wants all the good things for us. I ask for that Father to watch over us and protect us and keep us in all our ways. And Jesus' mighty name, I ask.
Amen. Okay. So first, before we start this, Susie, tell everybody about your little copperhead.
Oh yeah, I had a couple of encounters with some snakes today, copperhead. I had to we had some magnolia leaves in the front yard, and they were telling me there was some ticks in there. So I was like, and they were getting on Joel and Roger. So I was like, I'll go rake it up a little bit, and then they can burn it, and then we'll spray it, spray the area. And so I went over there to do some raking, and I'm like, snake, and I jumped back. you know. So I was like, what is it? It's red. And Joel's like, it's a copperhead. I'm like, ah. So they go over there and they catch it, and Roger picks it up, and then they go over and on the truck and cut its head off. And I'm like, okay. I go, all right. Joel's like, Mom, you need to be more careful. And I'm like, I'm like, well, it is what it is, right?
Yeah.
So
when you live out in the woods, I guess, hey.
I know,
but
right?
She is clearing an awful lot of trees off of her property right now. So God only knows what's going to come up in there. And
that's what Roger said.
Yeah. Hopefully you don't encounter any big ones. And well,
yeah, he's like, he said, I wish they would have
good one like mine.
Brenda, right? He go, okay, so where the woods are, they started at the back, and then that's kind of like where the swampy, like water is and stuff.
Where we went,
and then they're moving this way. So he thinks they're running the snakes this way, and I'm like, he goes, they should have started this way and went that way.
Yeah,
I'm like,
could have ran them onto the neighbor's property. I mean, come on.
Out in the other woods, right, or something.
You better get them dogs out there and tell them to start working for their supper. So
they've probably cleared about 30 acres already of trees, and so I came over here to my horse pen, and I told Joel there was some like sticker bushes in there, kind of like stickery kind of plants. I don't know what they are, like thistle stuff. So I said, I don't want you to mow it because it'll chop it all up. I want you just to, chop it out and throw it out. So I just came over and I said, I had my hedge clippers, and I went in there and I was like chopping, and right next to the horse bale, and I went like that, and I went in there and I turned, and right beside my hand with a big old copperhead snake looking at me, and I'm like, snake, and I jumped back again, like, damn, talk about monsters. So then I yelled, Joel, everybody comes over, and and he's bringing the big old shotgun, and he's like, here, Mom. And I go, no, I don't want you to shoot the gun because the horse is right here, So
Joel gonna go out there and just blow him away with shotgun, huh?
Right. I'm like, so he made a snake catcher. He took a piece of PVC pipe and he ran this rope through it, and he makes a loop, and then he can hook the snake's head and then pull the string through the PVC part. So he makes his own snake catcher.
Let me get him one of these.
But this has got a rope inside of a piece of PVC pipe. So when he pulls it, you got the snake, with the rope.
Yeah, it catches it. Yeah, that's true. That's
so he was. Idea. Yeah, he made one of those, but so we had to move the bale, and we don't know where the snake went. So we're like, okay, now we got to be cautious. We don't know where the snake snuck off to.
Oh man.
So, I know.
He's probably hiding in that bale of hay.
No, we looked all through the bale. He took off somewhere in the weeds or something, I guess. I don't know.
That time
I'll
of
have
year.
to be careful.
It's that time of year. It's warm, and they're coming out. And I know
we just saw,
Every time we open the front door, make sure nothing sneaks in through the front door. I can't go in the back because the mosquitoes are so thick back there. I can't even go out on that nice deck that was built for me anymore. That the tornado tore the top of my gazebo off. That's horrible.
That is bad.
Nature's wild.
Yeah, and I just saw another big black snake, a king snake, a couple days ago. But those are good snakes, so you don't kill those because they eat the bad snakes. So I just saw one of those. So they're out.
Susie, is any snake really a good snake?
I don't know. I guess some of them.
I used to own an albino, a red-tailed.
Well, depends how big they get.
And she was all right. I liked her, but she didn't like men. And first time she bit my ex-husband, he was like, if you don't get rid of that thing, it's going to become a belt. I'm like, oh God. Oops. I told him not to mess with her because she didn't like men, but he didn't want to listen to me. So I figure that's his bad. She bit you in the face. Oh, well.
You make a good point, Brenda. I thought about something you just said. I thought about this earlier, and the subject we're going to talk about is the Norse story about the monsters that came from Loki. And the point that you made you said is any snake a good snake. Well, what I was thinking about prior to this was in Norse mythology, one of the children of Loki was a wolf, and it wasn't that the wolf was dangerous, okay, in a wolf sense or a dog sense, but it was because it grew into the size of a giant, like a titan, which then it became dangerous. Okay, so it's kind of like a dog or pet dog or say a pit bull or any kind of dog. They could, as long as they're within a certain size, you can control them. And in that story, Odin tried to contain that wolf while it was smaller, but it kept growing and growing into this giant and into this titan to where it was not controllable and it became out of control. So I think that's the story of the giants, that once they've got so big and out of control, there was no more controlling them.
Right.
Like a python can get very big to where it'll eat you. And then at that point, it's probably not a good snake, you know?
Right.
Right.
It's like, well, so
Yeah.
we're going to tip the scale tonight on the Norse mythology. And we're going to talk about Loki's children. And apparently he had grandchildren, I heard tonight. I've not really heard a lot about the grandchildren. So that's probably something one day we need to find out about his grandchildren, because apparently they were worse than the other ones. So I don't know.
Well, okay, so I'll give a kind of a breakdown of the Norse mythology. My last name is, in case I think everybody that knows me knows that my last name is Allfather from Odin. I'm a direct descendant from him, from the Norse god. And in the beginning in the Norse story, it starts off talking about creation and how it got started and how the earth was made from the giant Ymir, Ymir, and and so and then the Bible is a Christian story that's written about the beginning of the humans and how they came into being, and pretty much mostly the Jewish people. I mean, it's mostly a book about the Jewish people. The Bible is. There were of course other people in the earth because Cain, after Cain killed Abel, he went into the city, and there were other people and stuff, but it doesn't. And now, and the Bible does say now that when they made humans, that they were Adams. There were more than one Adam. So and then so, uh, but in the Norse story, Odin, there were giants. There was like the land of ice and fire and stuff like that, and out of that came the giant, and then from the giant he gave birth to other giants, and then there was a man, which was Odin's grandfather, and then Odin, uh, they were like frozen up in the ice, I guess. It's a very weird story, but hey, how weird is the Bible if you were made from dirt and mud? Who did that?
True.
And that didn't you don't even get the details of that. All they go, you came from mud. Oh, okay. Well, that's a lot of information. Where's the detail in that story? Where were we made? In a laboratory, or where we made, where were we made? Who did it?
Well,
It
nowadays
didn't,
that's hard to tell anymore.
you know, or the Bible says, and God said, oh, now they're like us, gods, so who's us talking to? Like, you know what I mean? Us.
Yeah.
and now man is like us, or they're gods, you know. So I mean, there's a lot of it, you know, I've read the Bible extensively, studied it extensively, so I get, I look at those things really deeply, you know, when they talk about what they say, like, okay, now man is like a god, like us, and there were many gods, and you know, stuff like that. And then I sent you that scripture where, see if you can post that up. The one that talks about God sits in the council of other gods,
Oh, let's
Psalms
see if I can
82.
see it. See if
Yeah.
I can bring it up and see it. Okay, that would be that one. All right, hang on one second. And let me do this. I'm being barked at over here. Apparently, somebody thinks that he needs attention. I don't know why, but apparently he does. Because he's being a pain in my keister. Wow.
And
Now
I
there it
can't
is.
read it. Maybe you can you read that, Brenda? Or
Let me see.
let me see if I can. I could go. I could go back on my messages here and look.
Look, I got
Okay,
reading
hold
glasses on and I still can't see it.
on.
I'm so blind. I
Okay,
didn't have them on so I could see your face.
let's see. Let's see if I can pull this up.
You know,
Uh, all
they
right.
said, they said
I
that
think
my
this one
eyes
says
got
it.
damaged when I was sick too, so that's not good. Okay, go
Okay,
ahead.
and Psalms 82 states that God stands in the divine assembly and judges among the gods. So, first off, you know, when you say God stands, okay, that means, you know, he's got arms, legs, and feet, you know, because he's standing there. And he's in a divine assembly. So he's in there with other beings and a meeting, right?
Yep.
And he's also judging with these other gods. So that means that they got arms, legs, and feet too. So we have, you know, multiple gods in an assembly. You know, like, hey, don't they call that churches of the assembly of gods? The assembly of God, you know, that's a church. I got baptized in the Assembly of God church. Or no, I didn't get baptized there. I actually worked in an Assembly of God church. I got anyway, I belong to an Assembly of God. So it says that God stands in the divine assembly of judges among the gods. And then it goes on to say that this verse continues that how long will you judge unjustly and show partiality to the wicked? Vindicate the weak and the fatherless. Do justice in this passage. God calls the judges into the courtroom, accuses them of corrupting justice and letting the wicked go. Hey, that sounds like Donald Trump. I mean, you know, he's kind of like a god, right?
Not well, not really, but you know.
Well, you know, look, if men are God and God are men, you know, I'd say, you know, his status on this planet, you know, who he is, what
Well,
he represents,
if you
he's
want to
kind of
go
like
by
a,
status,
he's
I
kind of
guess
like, you know what I mean?
it's a golden
It kind of
boy.
sounds like him. Yeah, it kind of sounds like him. I mean, I'm just saying, you know, he's like, hey, y'all do right, you know. It sounds like Donald talking, you
I
know,
don't know.
just saying.
I got a frag. I got a flag. I got a frag. I got a flag in the mail today or yesterday. It says Trump 2024 was sent to me. I'm special.
You're all special. You're not that kind of special. You're very special. I can say that, yes, very special.
Hey, you make friends with this kid and you're always special. It's what happens.
Right?
But okay, go ahead. I'm gonna take this
Okay.
down.
All right. So, okay. So now, um, okay. So this is a little bit of biblical, you know, showing you that these gods are humans, you know, and then this god was with these other gods, and they're talking about, you know, different things. So in the Norse story, it starts off with these giants, okay, and then from the giant, then there were these men, and then it says these men were the gods like and Odin, Vili, and V. I think that's where they got fee fi fo. I smell the blood of an Englishman. I think that's where that story came from, because Billy V, those are his brothers, Billy V, Fee, Fo,
Right.
Fo, Fo. Yeah, yeah. So Odin, because what is that story where Jack and the Beanstalk, Jack goes up to the giants at the top of the firmament, and he, I mean, come on, you can't even make this stuff up, people. I mean, they put every truth into movies, fairy tales, stories, the Bible, every book, everything. It's like it's little bits of pieces here and there, and then you got to use your little noggin up here, and you got to ask God for a little help to try to figure this stuff out. And what I was thinking about is, okay, so this whole thing about Odin. Odin was known as the god of wisdom. He's a good guy, by the way. So just in case anybody didn't know, yeah, my great great grandfather was a good guy. Okay, so he had a prophecy and he had a dream that Loki, which is known as Lucifer. The reason I say that, because if you look at Loki, okay, who was a frost giant, which I'm pretty sure that I'm gonna say MF. Okay, just saying, right? Hey, I don't like him. Okay, he's a trickster, evil, devious, whatever being, and he was when Odin went to go kill these giants, right? Oh, they go over there and there's this little kid named Loki, and he feels sorry for him. He brings him home. That's like like thinking a little snake is not going to bite you or something, right, Brenda? You
Yeah.
bring the snake home and he's venomous, and you know, and so he grows up into being this father of all these monsters. That's our story. Is where what is the biggest disclosure on this planet, right? We all want to know, where do these alien monsters come from? Well, it's pretty simple. They all came from Loki. Okay, it's where they all originated from. This little itty bitty blue looking little titan little creature that grew up into this, trickster or mischievous god, known as Lucifer to our planet, who gives birth to all these children, which is different bloodlines of Luciferian bloodlines. Okay, because he mixes with humans. So you have giants, and then you have gods, and then you have humans, and then you have hybrids. You have god. You know you have giants mixed into the human god bloodline. You have the gods and the humans mixing, like in Genesis uh, 6 and 4, where it says that sons of God married the women of the daughters of men, and then they gave birth to the heroes of old, the men of renown. Those are kind of like the hybrid human gods. So, but my take on it is that Odin had a prophecy that about the end of the world and the battle of Ragnarok. Now, I think, just from my research and my study, it said that Odin tried to he tried to short he tried to uh, stop the destiny of the end of the world, like, and by trying to bring about Ragnarok quicker. Okay, and so I think that the actual end time battle, what they call Ragnarok, hasn't even happened yet. It's only been happening in stages. Okay, so, because now the other thing I want to read is the scripture in the Bible about in Revelation. So, talked a little bit about Genesis. We talked a little bit in Psalms, and now I want to bring up a little bit of in the book of Revelations. Okay, and you can put it up there if you want. It starts with the opening of the sixth seal.
The 6th or the 16th?
The sixth. It says the
Okay.
opening of the sixth seal.
Alrighty, we'll do this one. Is this one first? Hands up her. There's two of them up here, so I'm trying to figure out which one.
Well, I gave you three. It's like in three parts. So it starts off with the opening of the sixth seal, right? And then it says something.
So I got to go to
People,
the top.
yeah. The opening of the sixth seal is said to bring cosmic disturbances, the last judgment.
Here we got
That
it.
one. Okay.
Maybe. Dun-dun-dun.
I'd go ahead and read it while you're trying to get it up there. So it says, okay, so the way it reads is, the opening of the sixth seal is said to bring about cosmic disturbances and the last judgment. The sky rolls up like a scroll. Okay, first off, in order for the sky to roll up like a scroll, I mean, come on. Think about that for a second. That's a pretty serious situation.
Eye-opening experience.
Yeah, when your sky rolls up like a scroll. It says the mountains and the islands are removed from their place. Now the sun turns black and the moon turns blood red. So, everybody, some people, what is it? Padre Pio preached about the 3 days of darkness coming, and that was a Catholic, priest or whatever. And then you got people talking lately like 10 days of darkness or whatever, but it doesn't really say here in this book of Revelations how many days. It just says the sun turns black and the moon turns blood red. Then it goes on to say there is a great earthquake. Now there is quite a few prophecies about this great earthquake that will just like shake and destroy Israel and that whole area. And then it goes on to say people hide in caves and among rocks, calling. It says calling on them to protect them from the wrath of the Lamb. Okay. The events that occur under the sixth seal seem to echo Jesus' prediction of the Olivet Discourse, such as famines, earthquakes, nations, kingdoms rising against each other. Some say the sixth seal represents the 1,000 years leading up to the second coming of Jesus Christ and the Great Tribulation. Okay, so that is something that I find very interesting about the sun turning black. So with that, you have a couple of videos I wanted to show, and we were going to talk about some of Loki's children. Now, Loki was the god who could become. He was okay. I want to point out a few things first. Loki was a shapeshifter, meaning he could shapeshift into an animal, a male or a female. He was like a Baphomet. He was a Baphomet. He was also able to give birth, and to a child, even if he became a horse and then he gave birth to a horse, well, eight-legged horse, but so he could do that. He could give birth to children. He gave birth to 3 children that were able to turn themselves. One turned itself into a wolf and then stayed a wolf. And then the other one turned itself into a serpent, which stayed a serpent. And then this wolf became a titan, like a giant wolf. Then the snake became known as Leviathan or Gormungandar. It turned into a titan serpent. Now these wolves, they also gave birth. Okay, because they were human, so Loki was like a human. So, but he could become anything. Now, it was said and if any of the listeners got any information on this, I would love to know this because I don't know. But as far as I've researched, the only ones that could actually shapeshift, okay, was Odin. He could become another. He could shapeshift and be a different human. He could astral travel. He could go into other people. He could see things like that. He could do that. His wife Frigg could do this, which was my grandmother, and then also, not my grandmother, but back in the day, you know what I'm saying.
Right.
lineage-wise, right? You know, so we'll make sure we got that right. But and then also Loki could do this, and the other person that I know could do this was Jesus. Jesus could also shapeshift, and there's quite a few scriptures. You know, people, all you got to do is look it up. You know, Jesus shapeshifts. You know, or shapeshifting, and you can Google all that, and you could research all of Jesus. You know, would show up to somebody, and they wouldn't even recognize him, and then he'd say who he was, and they're like, oh, or so he was able to. And I think in the Mount of Transfiguration, they went up a mountain, and he turned into some light being, and they're like, they didn't recognize him, and it's just he had that ability also to change his form or shape. Okay,
Right.
like I guess you could say superpowers, whatever that is, and just abilities, these gifts. So Loki has this ability, and his kids have this ability, but they turned into monsters. Now, he had three. He had the wolf, and he had the snake, and then he had his daughter Hel, who in Jewish writings she's known as Lilith, and she's the mother of all the demons. So if you want to know where all the demons came from, that's
Okay.
where they came from.
There you go.
Every one of them. Yeah. So they're all Lilith's children now. Um, she also got involved in the churches known as the Spirit of Emma, and to pastors that are compromised, and stuff like that. But she's known in all cultures, Lilith is, and she has many children. Okay, there's many demons. There's many, and then so the other part I wanted to bring up was I was listening to a couple different people's giving their stories, or should I say, maybe their testimony or their life experiences, or what they've gone through, right? And that
Right.
would be Nathan Reynolds.
Oh yeah.
Nathan Reynolds, yeah. And if anybody doesn't know who Nathan Reynolds is, we'd love to have Nathan come on the show, because he
I've got a
actually,
message out to him.
okay, he actually tells quite a few first encounters of a lot of these monster children that we're talking about. Like, he's actually seen these, knows about the bloodline. And that's what I'm saying. Loki not only had these monster children with Angerboda, this Titan giant, but also had children with humans, and which I believe is the bloodline that is like there's like 13 Illuminati families. Reynolds is one of them,
Right.
which is kind of weird because my step grandmother was a Reynolds, so I was raised by the Reynolds. Okay, so but she was always nice to me, so I have nothing to say negative. But the Reynolds bloodline apparently is one of these bloodlines. Now,
Illuminati.
yeah. So you had Loki's descendants, Lucifer, who had slept with women, or he slept with women just like the other gods did, and had good heroes. He had these bloodline children. So apparently the government, according to Nathan, the government sought out these children, okay, and seek out these children, these bloodline children, and then they know that they have these abilities that we're talking about, sort of these monstrous super abilities to shapeshift or whatever, and they turn from human into wolves, and so people call them cryptids or whatever, or, but they're humanoid type animals, okay, that have
Right.
these superpowers. Yeah, so that's where they all come from. Okay, so you have a different, like, you have human ones, and you have animal ones, and you have god ones, and you have giants thrown in the mix. So you've got a little bit of everything in there. So with that, now you can go ahead and show those videos.
I've got the one up, and actually, it's it's the cartoon one. I kind of like it.
Okay, show that one.
Odin, the king of Asgard was plagued by nightmares. 3 fearsome figures haunted his dreams: a massive, writhing shadow, a shambling, rotting corpse, and worst of all, a monstrous beast with a deadly bite. Night after night, the creatures besieged the king, and although their true forms were unknown to him, he could tell they were related to Asgard's most persistent problem, Loki. Despite having settled down with his wife and sons, Loki had been sneaking off to visit the giantess Angrboda. And when the king learned this affair had produced 3 children, he was filled with unease. Odin summoned Thor and Tyr, 2 of his bravest warriors, to travel to Jotunheim to capture Loki's secret children. Upon arriving at Angrboda's home, the pair were immediately accosted by Loki's first child, a serpent named Jormungandr. The god of thunder dodged the snake's venom and swiftly bound him to a pine tree. The second child, Hel, appeared as a glowing young woman from the right and a moldering corpse from the left. Her flesh flaked onto the ground as she silently submitted to her captors. Finally, the third child leapt at Tyr. The small wolf was fierce, but harmless. Tyr playfully cuffed his claws and stowed the cub in his pocket. Back in Asgard, the warriors presented their prisoners, and fearful recognition seized Odin's heart. Though these 3 were meager reflections of his dark dreams, the king was determined to dispose of them before his visions came true. First, he banished Jormungandr to the sea at the edge of the world. Then he sent Hel deep below the earth to join her fellow corpses. But the wolf, named Fenrir, presented a challenge. He'd already grown strong enough to threaten the gods, so Odin took a more patient approach. For months, he supervised the creature, watching Fenrir grow from a cub to a wolf to a beast who spoke with the voice of a god. Tyr visited frequently and found Fenrir to be strong and clever. But as their bond deepened, Odin's fear only grew. One day, Odin forged his heaviest chains and hauled them to Fenrir with a challenge. He would bind the wolf to test his growing strength. Fenrir eagerly accepted the challenge and splintered the metal like old wood. Odin returned to the forge, crafting shackles that no man could lift alone. These sturdy chains gave Fenrir pause, but with an encouraging wink from Tyr, he accepted the challenge. The beast strained for a moment, and then shattered his restraints into 1,000 pieces. Desperate, Odin sought help from the most skilled makers of all, the dwarves. Rather than metal, they sought the rarest ingredients, from feline footsteps and fish breath to the sinews of mountains and mighty bears. With these, the dwarves crafted Gleipnir, an unbreakable chain in the guise of fine thread. When Odin challenged Fenrir a 3rd time, the wolf laughed. But as he examined the thread more closely, Fenrir sensed Odin's trickery and began to feel some fear himself. Fenrir struck a deal. He would accept the challenge, but only if a god kept their hand in his mouth throughout. With a heavy heart, Tyr volunteered. The gods bound the wolf, and as he strained, Gleipnir only grew tighter. Fenrir felt the agony of betrayal not only from Odin, but from his reluctant friend. With a howl of fury, he bit through Tyr's wrist and vowed to destroy Odin for tricking him. Watching his nightmare come to life, Odin thrust Tyr's blade between Fenrir's jaws, releasing a torrent of saliva that became a furious river. While the beast was not dead, he was bound, and Odin celebrated his victory over fate. But in truth, His actions had only sealed his doom. Beneath the waves, Jormungandr grew to encircle the world. Hel rose to rule the dead as queen of the underworld. And every day, Fenrir strained a little more against his chains, inching ever closer to his bloody revenge. For more tales of children being ignored and
Okay.
No, I have not heard those rumors.
So basically, what I think, Brenda, is I think that Odin had, he was known as a god of wisdom, right? And he he knew that these things were going to destroy the world, because these monsters all represent like hate, treachery. um Hell represents death, and the Bible says
Right?
that death and hell will be swallowed up in victory. So you have all the uh like, say you have all the good words, and which is like wisdom, goodness, truth, kindness, right? Those are good words. Then you have, on the other side of that, you have bad words, which is like hate, treachery, you know, revenge, and those kind of things, right? So this is what these monsters all represent, and death, hell, those kind of things, the grave, right? And so it's like, um, what Odin was trying to do was trying to eliminate all the bad in the world and try to make it a good world. Because like in Asgard, they had apples that they ate, Brenda, and they lived forever. Like they never grew old. Okay.
Right. Unlike
Then they come. Yeah.
unlike in the Bible when they were told not to eat the apple because it would be bad. He
Yeah.
changed
Then you
that.
come here. You get, the poor humans are told, oh, if you eat that apple, you're gonna die for sure, right? And then who's the savior in the garden? What, the serpent? The freaking
Right.
reptile. He's like, oh, did God say if you ate, you were going to die? You're not going to die. Okay. So, like, everybody turns that around and thinks that, this serpent child, which is one of Loki's kids,
Yeah,
is
but
over
you know what?
here
You know what
being
I
the good
figured out
guy.
about that? You know what I figured out about that? Look, look, look. Basically, when they ate the apple, they gained knowledge. That's how they knew they were naked. Now,
Yeah.
I'm just going to say
Right.
this. I really would pity any fool if we were still walking around naked and nobody knew any better, because, I'd probably scare the crap out of somebody, but, hey.
How many people walk around and don't know anything right now, Brenda? Okay.
Well,
No.
this is true. This is very true. Brent can look that up for us, because I'm going to bet you the numbers are astonishing.
Right?
It's like, whoa. But yeah, I mean, and when they say that the serpent walked into the Garden of Eden, well, serpents don't walk, they crawl, they slither. So if he walked in there, then that
Hey,
tells
we
me.
got. Oh, are you there? Somebody cut us off, but then they brought us back on. That was weird.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
No, we're back on now. I think, yeah, because they said someone doesn't want them to speak. Yeah, because you know
No.
what? When you hit a truth, woo wee.
But okay, Denise, did you guys get to see the video, or did they cut it off at the video? Because if they cut it off at the video, me and YouTube are going to have a fight, because I actually contacted Ted Ed and we have permission to show that video. So, yeah. Okay. All right, good. I don't know what
Okay.
they're doing. They just keep playing with us. Oh,
All
Sherry
right.
said she didn't see it. Denise
Huh?
said she's seen it. Sherry said she didn't see it, but Denise said she's seen it. Well,
Okay.
that happened.
What the hey? Okay. So
Oh,
so
okay.
here's my input into all this. Okay. Also, I watched a video yesterday, which I really like. A guy named Matt uh, Emick, I think you say his name is, or some. I don't want to say it wrong. It's like EMCH. Emick, Matt Emick. He was a football player out of Ohio. And I grew up, right down the road from him because I grew up in Akron, Canton. He grew up near Youngstown. Okay,
Okay.
and he I really want to get him on the show too. He had an encounter with this wolf, this kind of humanoid wolf, and he described it having the yellow red eyes. And in that video, it showed the wolf having the red yellow eyes, and it was kind of humanoid, and it was really scary. And so what I'm trying to tell everybody that's listening and all the audience is, you know, different people have encountered different things, like reptilian people, like wolf people, like different kind of animal people, like Bigfoots and aliens and demons and
I
angels.
wanna
I mean,
say
go ahead.
something about Bigfoot because somebody
Yeah.
asked, who was it that asked? Was it? I think it was Denise. Had asked about. No, it was. Yeah. Let me see. I don't want to talk off of turn. I think it was Denise. Had asked about Bigfoot. Could have been Norma. Now, I heard a theory on that. Okay. And the theory on Bigfoot was that aliens, little grays, that they use the Bigfoot body to be able to be here because they're big statured. They didn't have to be afraid, which is why they say that you always see a ship or something before you encounter any Bigfoot stuff. Now, I don't know how true that is, but when you sit and you think about how they come and go and that they are in a lot of ways peaceful as long as you don't mess with them, I would say it's good probability that that's what they're used for. Kind of like we're light beings and we wear our meat suits. I mean, why not? If you're a little itty bitty gray guy and you want to come and explore things here on Earth, what better way to be able to do that than to be in a big 8-foot hairy thing that smells funny that people want to try to capture by camera but stay away from? That would be my thought.
Well,
So you
here's
never
the
know.
thing. I mean, there's so many things out here and so many hybrids, crossbreds, you know, and whether or not, they like, so let's just say a couple thousand years back when Odin was here, and it was only a couple thousand years, by the way. And that's another story. When you get into history and religion, you realize that there were is from my understanding, there were three types of gods. There were the Egyptian gods, there were the Norse gods, which is Odin, and you also had the Greek gods, which is like Zeus and them, and which they were, you know, kind of not so good. But um, so you had these gods um, also breeding and mixing humans and animals, and you had so we have, there's probably a lot of things on this planet, Brenda.
You
You know
mean
what I'm saying?
our government's not the only one that does that? What?
Right.
What?
Well, look at Egypt, all the half human, half bird head, creatures, right?
Right.
So, apparently, like, now there's many stories where Odin could be a bird. He turned into a bird, but Loki also turned into eagles, and Freya would become a hawk. Was her. So, like, if you see a hawk, that's usually something to do with Odin's wife, right? And but Odin, one, I think, became an eagle one time, and so did Loki. So they could change into a bird. Now, as a bird, if they bred or got bred, they would have humanoid bird human being. You know what I'm saying?
Is that where the
So
dodo bird came from? As I don't know who volunteered to turn into that one, but wasn't me.
So yeah, so this boy he encounters that guy I was telling you about, Matt. He actually encounters this over in a steel mill. This him and his buddies, and it's quite a testimony. There's a bunch of stuff on YouTube that you could go and watch of this guy. Um, he he talks about his encounter with this wolf thing, and it scared the living bejeebies out of him. Okay. And then later on, he had a dream, and the wolf came to him in the dream and said, "You're talking too much about this. You need to keep your
Uh-oh.
mouth quiet."
Oh, Lord.
What?
Yeah. Well, because I mean, I think the only time I've ever heard anything like that is when it comes from our men in black. So, I mean, it
Right?
then again, look, if you ran into something that looked like a wolf, but like they call dogmen, really?
Yeah.
What is a dogman? If you run into something that looks like that, I'm pretty sure it might be pretty scary, especially when you can't explain it. Or, I mean, that's how many people do you say, hey, there's this or there's that, and you don't know how to explain what it is that you see. So I think it's
Right.
kind of a very scary experience. And if it was telling him he was talking too much, well, then obviously he's onto something.
Exactly. It's like, so we go back to the gods and the religion. So, okay, so Odin had a son named Balder, and of course, here's my picture of Balder, or my kind
See,
of
I
looks
like
like
it.
Jesus, huh?
I like that.
Yeah, that's Balder. He's one of my great grandfathers. Okay, he's the Norse god of righteousness and truth. Okay, he was also known for being a happy person. He's like all the good. Everybody loved Balder, and he's actually killed by Loki. Loki kills him. Okay, and that story is kind of where the Jesus story comes from. So, sort of in a sense, not exactly, but kind of, because it's a mistletoe or and mistletoe is like Hollywood. It's a poisonous plant, like Hollywood is. Hollywood is a poisonous, you know, entertainment. You know what I mean? It's poison. Hollywood is poison, people. So, but so mistletoe, and here's the story about the mistletoe. Mistletoe is hung at Christmas time, like Christ massacre time, over the doors, and then you kiss like Judas's kiss of betrayal under the mistletoe. Because in the story of Balder, Loki finds out that Freya has everything. She prays and has everything promised that they will not harm her son Balder, because Balder had a dream that he was going to be killed, and so the father and mother do everything in their power to protect their son, and so they have everything say that it will protect him, it won't harm him. So nothing could harm Balder. Not anything would cause his death or harm, except for the mistletoe. She didn't have mistletoe because it was a young plant, didn't seem like it would do anything. So when Loki shapeshifted into an old woman, he tricked Freya into saying what was the one thing that could harm her son. And so she confided in this old woman. So that's why I say you never know who you're talking to, Brenda. Like, you know,
True.
like the Bible says that we can entertain angels unaware, right? So you don't know whether it's an angel or a devil, and they can come in as an old man, an old woman, and be, or
Well,
you know,
it's the same, though it might be bad. It's the same as good because you never know. I mean, Jesus
some
might
are good,
be a
some are
homeless
bad.
man on the street, and people might laugh and push him over, and he's like, hmm. But then if somebody walks up to that homeless person and offers them something to eat or something to drink, they may have done good. So you never know. I mean, you're
You
right.
don't know who you're talking to, right? You could be talking to an angel that looks like anime. you know?
True.
Right.
True.
Tell us that story. I love that story about anime.
Oh, my anime? Well,
Anime.
yeah. When I first seen her, I was in my hospital room and she walked in. I thought it was a nurse. She was dressed like one. And she sat at the end of the bed. And she basically told me what was going on with me, not knowing me and Susie from anybody. You know, she placed her hands on my head. Her hands were warm. I thought it was a person. Now, me, I'm a medium. I see spirits all the time. And in my room, while I was in the hospital, the whole time I was there was a little blonde girl. And she would always touch my cheek when I was laying down. And, you know, her hand was cold. So when this woman touched me, she was warm. I thought she was human. And she explained to me that what was happening to me, who it was that was doing it, why it was being done. And then she told me that there is no way that she can harm me because I have the backbone of the gods, whatever that meant. And I never asked her, you know, what it was that her name was. All I asked her was where was she from, and when she told me she was from New Orleans, I was like, huh. But I didn't. Well. Look at here.
Hey, hey, hey.
Hey,
Hey.
at the black screen again.
Hey.
You must be running home from work.
I'm still at work.
Well, you know, hey.
I'm still at work. Yeah, we're under a deadline, and I have to fabricate a window and make it look historically accurate, and fun stuff.
So you took your shirt off so you could stand in the window just to show your boss that you're working hard.
No, I took my shirt off because it's after hours and it's hot as shit, and my shirt's soaking wet and covered in dirt and metal and shit.
You know what? Shirtless Tommy is just as good as Tommy, period. So, hey, we're good.
Some of these other apps, and that'll help.
But yeah, I didn't ask her what her name was, but I had a dream like 2 nights after I came back from the hospital, and she was in my dream. And she told me her name was Anime. And she said that she will always be with me and Susie, keeping an eye on stuff and watching us. So, Tommy turned around and told me, oh, nope, she's a spirit. She's a spirit. And everybody told me she's a spirit. She's a spirit. I really thought she was a real person because she was warm and just, I had no fear.
She's a real entity.
Do what?
She's a real entity.
Yeah.
I mean, she's a real soul person.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't see her as, like I did the other spirits. And it was funny because I had several spirits in my room with me while I was there the whole time. And every time a nurse would walk in, they would and disappear. And one nurse had walked in and seen a shadow run across by the window. And she kind of like freaked out a little bit. And I had to have her sit down and explain to her it's okay. She's like, you're not afraid being in here? I said, honey, if there was something in here that I was afraid of, I'd be on that bell all the time telling you to open my door and my lights would be on in the room. I said, no, I'm not afraid of them. But when this woman came in, they didn't leave. And she looked around the room with a smile on her face, like she's seen them. She knew they were there and she was okay with this. So, it was one of those things where I thought, I felt very warm and very protected, and just she sat there with her hand on my stomach. They were going to keep me another week, but that next morning the doctor came in and said, I don't know what's going on with you because we don't even know what happened and why everything in your gut swelled 3 times as much, but all of your stuff is leveling out now, and you can go home if you want to. I was like, heck, get me out of here.
Yeah.
the food sucks. Your Jello tastes
yeah.
like plastic. That was my answer. So, but
You
yeah.
know, you think they would understand that food is comfort, but instead that they serve shit that tastes like cardboard mixed with sewage.
I didn't have any. I
I mean,
didn't
a
have
little
any.
bit. It's got top notes of like artificial flavors and
Yeah.
and sweeteners. You know,
Well,
and other things that cause illness.
well, I did tell them, bring me some chocolate pudding and make sure it wasn't sugar free because my sugar was really low because I wasn't eating anyways. So, and then she brings me in sugar free, and I called her back up and I said, this is not what I ordered. I said not sugar free. She's like, oh, well, let me go get you some that has sugar. I'm like, yeah, please. Why not? What the hell? Bring me sugar. But I didn't, all I had for like 7 days, I think, was nothing but ice chips and ice water. That's all I wanted. They threatened they threatened to send me home with a feeding tube hanging out of my nose. And I'm like, no, man, I got to go on the show. I can't go on the show with a feeding tube hanging out of my nose. Okay.
Oh my
And I'm not
God.
going to sit here like this the whole entire time I'm on the show either. So, no. I would have started.
There were people that would fake that just to have that kind of cred.
Yeah. No thanks. Not me. I'm good. So Tommy, we were talking about Loki and all of the monsters he made.
Yeah. We're still working across the street. I'm supposed to be. I'm the host of a podcast and I had forgotten was running late. So say hello to everybody. Brenda used to be a police officer.
Everybody say hello.
Yeah.
Hey.
We have the 3 buildings there and 3 there, and this one.
We have Tommy on the loose tonight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ben, my boss is over there. Over there, and the one straight across and on the corner, it's unlocked. So the padlock's. It's the pool room. It's the library right across here on the corner. This side of the art studio. Okay. And then the one next to it with the blue lights, that might also be open too. That's the office.
I think Tommy's taking his break now.
Hey, no problem. Sorry. It's exciting.
Yeah,
Brenda used to be a police officer. One of my co-hosts.
Tommy, you take your guitar to work with you?
I mean, it's in my van.
Oh.
I figured if I don't have a shirt, I can at least cover part of myself with a guitar.
What did he say? He said his name is Dirty Bob.
Dirty Bob the welder? No. Oh, that's funny.
Okay, Tommy.
Like Bob the Builder.
Denise said hi,
Bob
by
the welder
way.
builder.
Hey, Denise. How's the nephew?
See, y'all don't get to see Tommy. See, now we see Tommy like this all the time when he comes home from work and he's like exhausted and we're saying hi, how you doing? But y'all don't get to see Tommy like this. This is working man Tommy. Yes. Working man Tommy's got a job, which is more than I can say for a lot of men in life, but Tommy's got a job.
And I'm 100% disabled.
Yeah. I need a job. I gotta get a job.
I'm not saying I have disabilities.
I think I'm gonna go tie a rake to the back of my wheelchair and I'm gonna go and scrape Susie's arena. Yeah.
There you
go. Do that? And
I can do that.
I'll give you a pitchfork and you can clean some, doo-doo out,
I'm in. I'm down. I used to do that when I had both legs. I know how to clean a stall.
There you go. There you go.
It's trying to do it in this little thing right here. So I figured if anything, we can just put a rake at the back of my wheelchair. I have a pole that sticks out. We can just shove it in there and then put it on the ground and I'll just get on my wheelchair and I'll start at the outside I'll start at the inside and work my way out and we will get you all straightened out.
I'll give you the pitchfork and then you can scoop it up and then take it over and dump it in the wheelbarrow and
just as long as y'all listen for me when I yell, I got bit by a snake.
Hey, we'll put you on some of the mud gripper tires, take you down to the golf course. And you do the maintenance of the sand traps, and also we'll rent you out for maintaining them Zen gardens. And we'll hook a rake back there, and you just drive circles like you said. Just drive around them rocks. It'd be nice.
There you go.
We
Norma, I
think
have a
we got-
motor on my wheelchair. My wheelchair is electric. So, and I can go 17 and a half miles before it dies. So that might get her arena done, maybe. Yeah,
You
I
know,
think it will.
we might have to upgrade that. We'll call Tim the Toolman Taylor, see if we can't, get some of them Benford tools, like motor expansions,
Right?
bigger battery capacity. Or what we could do? We could put it on propane. And
No, we're not going to put it on propane. No. It'd be my luck. I would like
at the same time.
Look. Now it would be my luck that I would turn around and just have a craving out of nowhere, and go and light a cigarette, and I would blow me in my wheelchair all the way through the roof of the arena, and then Susie will have to build it back up. So that would
tell us we'll sell tickets. We'll get your red, white, and blue outfit.
sell tickets. Oh, really?
Like Evil Knievel, but it's Brenda.
Evil Knievel, huh?
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Now, Brenda, all this fun and games and everything, I got to finish my story. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I
Okay.
jumped right in the middle of that. I'm sorry, Susie.
That's all right. You're good.
Please forgive me. Forgive me.
Okay. So I was talking about how Loki tricked Freya into telling what would harm Balder. Okay. And it was with the mistletoe. So they made an arrow and basically tricked one of his brothers to shoot the arrow, and it shot him under the rib cage, just like the story of Jesus where he gets the spear up through the rib cage, right? And so this is how Balder dies. Now, here's another weird twist to this whole story. Do you know how a lot of times Christians will come up with this story, and it's not really in the Bible, okay, this story, but they come up with this story and they say that Lucifer was God's favorite angel, although there's nothing in the Bible that says that per se, right?
Yeah.
There is a reference. There is only a reference in there that says, "Oh, son of the morning, you were this and that, you were this, and then you fell, and oh, the dawn of the morning, and so." But it doesn't say anything about this story. But these Christians have this story now. Whether it comes from the Mormons' teachings, I don't know where the story comes from, but it claims that God's favorite angel was Lucifer, and that he was cast down to the earth or whatever. But see, that's really the story of Loki. Odin took in Loki and raised him like his own son. Okay. And it was like as close to him as his own children were. And then he betrayed Balder. He killed his other son Balder. And then he was bound, and that's where that falling away came from. Okay. So that story really is about Loki, or I call Loki Lucifer. Okay. So you can go back to the Norse stories, and you can go back to what these stories that people come up with, and you can see how they overlay, how they fit, kind of like how movies reveal things to us. So do these stories. Now, the thing that I was going to get into is a little bit deeper. When you had what we had in religion was we had the Greek gods, who were the Roman gods that took over Jerusalem and Israel from way back in the day. Okay, like the temple in Jerusalem that people go to worship God is called Fort Antonia. It was a Roman fort. It was not Solomon's temple. Okay, but a lot of people think that was Solomon's temple. It never was. It's a Roman building. So Vatican is the Roman Grecian religion of today. They took over Israel and the Jews and all that, and they took over religion. They forced everybody to become Catholic. So the Catholic religion has dominated everything and everyone. Okay. Now from that, they sat down, and Tommy studied a lot of this too. I know the Council of Nicaea, and you go back all the way to Turkey, Istanbul, Constantinople. It was Constantinople before, and these are where the Constantines came out of. And so this is where they made all these rulings, all these decisions, and how they would create a religion that that could be Greek, and yet at the same time keep Jesus as part of it. Okay, and so what I'm saying is that they made up a story, or well, they created a religion story. For example, and this is going to really like piss off a lot of people. Okay, what I'm fixing to say, I'm going to piss you off. Okay, so I'm sorry.
Hell yeah.
You
Hell
know,
yeah.
but
Sure.
you know, but I'm sorry, but that's just who I am, right, Brenda? I've had
Yep.
this since I was a little kid. I tell the truth according to the way that I know it and I see it, and so sometimes it pisses people off, and I can't help that, because I have to tell the truth, or what I believe to be the truth from what I know, and it goes against a lot of other people, and sometimes it pisses them off because it doesn't fit what they were taught or learned, right?
What they're comfortable with.
So this is, yeah, and and it's not like I'm trying to be like that. I'm not trying to be a judgmental person. I don't try to be religious. I don't try to judge people. I don't I don't I don't want to come across as something that I'm not, or better than anybody else, or or anything like that. That's not my goal. Is not to try to put myself, like that. I don't want to be like that. You know, but sometimes I get kind of put in that light just because of what I say to people. Okay, they
Yeah.
look at me and they think that I'm trying to look down on them, and I'm not. I'm just, like, I've just always been that way since I was a child, and sometimes it gets me in trouble, because I have to tell my truth. So
Okay,
the
no,
truth that I know, what, Tommy?
I was saying, you don't have to apologize. Just tell us.
So the truth that I've learned, and I've come to understand, is the whole Jesus story is wrong. Okay, and for a lot of reasons, and then a whole lot of other reasons, it's not wrong. But if you look at who wrote the story, if you look at why they wrote the story, and then you take all of that and you understand who controls the world, okay, and who controls the money, and who controls the governments, and who controls, and then you put that all together with the religion, then you would begin to understand that it's all connected. Okay. And once you realize it's all connected, then you would realize that there's another hidden agenda behind it. Okay. And so they're not necessarily wanting the masses or the people to have the real truth. Okay. Or the real story, but just little pieces of it. Now, the way they trick us is they put it in movies. So they think that they've told us, in a sense, um, that you see the movies, and like you see Ragnarok, and you see the Avengers, and you see all these movies, or you see Men in Black, and you think it's all whatever, or the Matrix or something like that, which I don't like the Matrix. Now, I mean, I'm just saying the Matrix to me, okay, for example, here's the way I view the Matrix. Okay, because I look at things as good and evil. Okay, now in that movie,
So like one and a
in
zero,
the huh?
or like a one and a zero.
Yeah.
It's binary language. It's good or
Okay,
evil. But it's either
good.
one or the other. So,
Yeah, it's either good or evil, and so the Matrix seems like an evil movie to me, um, based on the fact that the Morpheus, or whoever it is, he represents the Zionist Khazarian mafia. Okay, and they want to run the world. The New World Order. They want to run the world. So they they hire all these super soldiers, or they make all these the MK Ultras. They force them into their system with their computers and everything else, and they get them to fight the battle for them. Okay, through trickery and deceit. And maybe that's not the world that they want, but then they try to incorporate all these oracles and these witches and all these you know, but they make them look like they're good, okay, because they can use the church too, okay. Religion can use the churches, you know, as a cover, because what do the churches do today? Every one of them, they just want money, just give me money, give me money, give me money, and they're all living in these mansions, right? I mean, that's a
Yeah.
whole nother avenue to
Well,
go down.
not all of them. The
Not
mega
all
churches
of them.
churches
Yeah.
do it, and a lot of like the church structure itself is it, it it depends on the denominations, but there's denominations that are wealthier, where the
I'll
parishioners
give
and
it that.
yeah. So there's a sliding scale on that, I think. But yeah,
But
it is money. It's a business, essentially. All
right,
religion is business.
and here's where I'm going to piss them off, Tommy. Is
They should pay
I'm going to
taxes.
say, here's the part that pisses them off. Okay, when we say, okay, they're not all like that, but in a sense, they all are like that. They all have this prosperity message, and why
Well,
do they
no,
have this prosperity message? But why do they? Because as a whole, they have a certain agenda of the religion, that a narrative that they follow. Okay, and they all kind of follow a certain narrative, and the narrative to me is this: it's called a blood sacrifice. Okay, everything is based. And what did Odin do? He made a blood oath with Loki. Odin made a blood oath with Loki, Lucifer. Okay, all right, so everything is about a blood oath, a blood, what, every family's cursed by blood oaths, blood sacrifices, right? It's all throughout the Bible, it's all throughout religion, it's all throughout the Norse story with the gods,
and
So,
every other
and what,
religion has similar.
huh?
You know, most of the religions have similar like characteristics that overlay across the planet. And this is just my spin on it. I'm not trying to just as a counterpoint to some of the stuff as we go along. Like when Constantine, when they did the Council of Nicaea, they took the story of Jesus that had been written by all these different people, that had been there were oral traditions, stories, until they got written down by somebody. And Constantine went out, sent legion out to find anything written about this Jesus and bring it back to him. That way, it took it out of the hands of the people who knew the people who knew the people who knew the people who knew him. So, and just like the victors of any conquest or war or whatever, like they take what it is that's valuable of that culture that they take over, and they make that their own, and then they take the traditions and the spiritual and superstition of those cultures and regions, and they weave it into whatever they're using as the official religion for Rome. So Constantine realized that he couldn't control all of the people spread out through all these territories that they had conquered, but if he could just control their kings, then that would bring it all in, and they controlled them by proxy. And to do that, they took traditions and all these different things from different pre-existing traditions and stories and folklore, and that became like not necessarily in the plot, but ended up in the Bible. This is the way they kind of wove things in, but also just through oral tradition and like things like the Apocrypha and other Bible or other Gospels that were left out of the King James version. And so that became like a Roman owned like concept and idea, because he realized that he couldn't control the masses and these cults that were popping up, the Christendom cults. So like Rome became the Vatican. I mean, it still controls massive parts of the world. It just does so through the spiritual real estate rather than the actual.
You do know that King James is the one who ordered the Book of Enoch to be taken out.
Yeah, and he also ordered the writing of his version of it, or he made it okay for divorce because he didn't like his wife. Yeah, I mean
But he was also a homosexual. He was actually a homosexual, only married because they have to keep the stewards had to keep their bloodline within so they could stay the stewards of the land, the king of the land, and over England and stuff like that.
You would think he would have left out that one verse in Leviticus then. And
which verse was that?
A man shall not lay with man like man lays with a woman. I can't remember the exact verse, but something like that.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But you know what I find strange, since I've studied the Bible so well, one of the scriptures that are new with the Mandela effect, which I find quite funny, it says that there'll be two men laying in bed together. One will be taken, one will be left.
No. No.
Yeah.
Okay, somebody needs to dig up Mandela and smack him, because that's just ridiculous. I mean,
did you see the book of John the Baptist?
I am done with the Mandela effect. I am so over it. This is ridiculous. Come on now.
Two men will be laying in bed together. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That's because it was raining, and now they could get was a single motel that night. They was traveling together. I mean,
Yeah.
Oh, Lord.
They put a bunch of pills between each other.
Look,
Okay.
Now I'm going to say this. Okay. You
gotta have a sense of humor. You gotta have a sense of humor in all this.
Oh, yeah. Now my thought on all of this is, look, I have had gay friends, and to tell you the truth, they have been the best people to go to the mall with. I swear to God.
I don't think that's the point, though. That's not.
We're all fighting, looking at the same butt. But anyways,
that's not the point, Brenda. The point is
on this
what Tommy said.
Okay, I know.
What Tommy said. It's in one scripture. It says one thing. In another scripture, it alludes to another thing. Okay.
But see, here's my outlook on that form of life. Okay. To each their own, because what they do, it is not for me, for Tommy, for you to judge them for what they do. The one person that they're going to be judged in front of is the only one that matters. And when they get there, then they're going to have to answer for it. But until then,
and like I said, that's not our point of talking about it. It's the point the point is that is the book. It's the books themselves, the putting together of the books. People really need to research and find out, like Tommy did. He realized, hey, wait a minute. How did these books come about? And that's the point.
Yeah.
So it's a hodgepodge of different things that are all thrown together is what you're really reading,
Right.
And when you're translating, like Sanskrit into Aramaic, or Aramaic into Sanskrit, into Greek, into Latin, and then into German, and then into Old English, and then into the Good News Bible. Things get things get lost in translation. They try to modernize things to where people can understand.
Well, that's just like
and confuse them at the time.
That's just like people. We say something, and then we tell somebody else, and then they tell somebody else, and they tell somebody else, and by the time it gets to one person, it has grown into God knows what, and it's so huge that
you know what, Brenda? I'm going to say damn, because I can say something and somebody will take it completely the opposite of what I'm trying to say, and I'm like, wait, how did you get that out of that? I didn't say that. I didn't mean that. Like, wow. So back to pissing everybody off tonight, okay? I'm trying really hard, people. I really am, okay? And I'm not doing it on purpose. It's just my nature. I can't help myself, okay? All right. So my nature is just to tell the truth, whether you like it or not, or like me or not. I don't care. Okay. So, I hope you like the truth, and I hope you find the truth, because the truth is out there somewhere, but it's not where you think it is, and it's not from who you thought it was. How many times, without naming any names, Brenda, how many times have we trusted on our friends and And even, people can say they've trusted in family members that turned out to be lying and backstabbing, and you didn't know it, and one day you found out, and you find out that you've been lied to, they've been stealing from you, they've been doing you dirty, they had bad motives the whole time, and you just, you're kind of like ambushed and shocked that everything that you believed in and you wanted to believe in was not the truth, you know?
Oh, several times. And I also understand why they allowed divorce, because if you've been married to people that I've been married to, divorce is probably the best thing for you. I've had
Oh,
some
yeah.
really good ones.
I think a lot of people could relate to, you fall in love with somebody, right? And boom, you married the devil or the she devil or the he devil. I don't, whatever one it goes,
There it is.
A lot of times you fall in love with the projection of the person that they want you to think they are.
Yeah, true.
And then when you're married, all of a sudden they're like, "Ha ha, bitch! It's me. I'm a crazy person.
That's why
I'm gonna eat your face out."
pull that mask off, on there, Tommy. It's me. That's why they say, and that's why they say that you should always become best friends before you take that step. And I actually, a few of my ex-husbands, we're actually friends now, and we're better friends than we ever were married. So apparently that was my kick in the butt to you should have just stayed friends. You should have just stayed friends. You know what I mean? So it's all good. It's all good. I'm okay with all of that.
Yeah, it happens to everybody. Everybody.
Yeah.
Everybody experiences that. And that's what life is. Everybody has been experiencing that because for thousands of years we've had a lot of corrupt people deceiving people and convincing people that their deception is not a deception, and we've been tricked and deceived and followed after different things. And so one of the things, go ahead.
You don't always marry your so-called soulmates either. My soulmate is my bestie, and he's a big, hairy Italian guy I've known for years. And he's my bestie, and he's my soulmate. And he's been that way since the day I met him. So you don't always marry your soulmate either. And it's okay. When they say soulmate, that doesn't mean that you need to run out and find somebody who's your soulmate and marry him, because that's usually how you jump into a marriage that doesn't last, because, well, you weren't friends.
Sometimes you think you're marrying Mr. Right, but then it's just Mr. Right now. After you get married, like,
Mr. Right now.
Like
bingo.
You think like.
Mr. Right now.
Life's a bitch, and like this, it's a grind the whole time. It's constantly, when the world's a vampire and wants to suck your life, you will live. You find one person you can stand and also are attracted to, and enjoy each other in lots of different ways.
Tommy and I can say that because Tommy and I have sworn off marriage. That's it. I'm done. I don't know about any.
I was married for 3 years.
Yeah, I pretty much swore off a marriage myself. It's like, nope, hell no, nope.
So then
leave me the hell alone.
My sister said, "I won't be outdone." And 3.5 months into her marriage, she decided she wanted a divorce.
Yeah, I kind of sit here and I think, way back in the days of like Noah and all of them, when they were married, there was no piece of paper. First of all, that's a crock bullshit. So I have found that when you live with somebody, you cook, you clean, you work.
Most of those marriages were arranged marriages.
Well, yeah.
And there
family
was
marriages.
There was paper on things too. It just wasn't kept at the courthouse. They kept it in the church.
Well, kind of, I guess.
I mean, back when Ook married Duck, I mean, they were just they hung together for a couple of seasons. It wasn't like the institution of marriage like the church made it.
And birth certificates, where'd those come from? Well, I know what they use them for now. But
it came as a record.
Yeah, they can charge you money for them now. You pay the
no,
state.
They don't charge us money for them. They take them and put them in the stock market, and they make money off of them.
Well,
right?
But they don't share with us.
That's
Greedy bastards. That's what they are.
Well, yeah, I gotta jump back up on.
You gotta run.
I gotta go finish fabricating this window and get it in place. I'd like to leave you
Well-
ladies with a song.
Well, yeah, you might want to
Okay.
do that.
Leave
so
us
you
with a
can
song,
actually go
Tommy.
home tonight. You want to leave us with a song, huh? Well, all right,
Yeah.
go for it, Tommy.
Which one? And good night. Amazing grace. How sweet the sound. Saved a wretch like me from the ground. Oh yeah. I'm gonna sing the blues when I was 3 years old. I filled a hand with cassette and I sold my soul. Jim and Janice and Jonathan and two. Dwayne Allman for my blue suede shoe. Did you see? Just a rock and roll life for me. Could stay pit in the name of the Lord in a little old country road. Trickle like a little bit of shot country because it's how we know. Rock and roll vibe we're gonna do with rise. It don't matter if you don't fit in jail. It's all your money and you're absolved of all your sin. Can you see? It's a rock and roll life for me. See, it's a rock and roll life for me. And somebody's mad at me, knocking shit over. That's going on. And
How about somebody threw a bottle at you?
I'm, you know, I'll be here.
See, I thought I was pissing people off, you know. Okay.
Yep. So that's more to that song, but I can't remember right now because I lost my train of thought there.
Oh,
it's an
well,
old
thank
song,
you,
so-
Tommy.
I'll maybe do one more because that ended on a shit note there.
And ended on a shit note.
Let's see. My little Lola, that's where I want to be. I want to hold you, and I know it cannot be. Lola, Lola, you drive me crazy, drive me crazy. And when I'm sleeping, well, I can see you in my dreams. I can touch you, but I know it cannot be. Oh, Lola, Lola, you drive me crazy, drive me crazy. Down in Cocoa where your love light shone on me, you must forgive me. I'm too damn blind to see. Oh, 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 Lola, 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 you drive me crazy, drive me crazy, drive me crazy. And in Miami, dance across the floor and then you left me. You danced right through the door. Lola, 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 you drive drive me crazy. Drive me crazy. Taste you, flesh upon my tongue, I cannot break you. The spirit's far too young. Oh, 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 Lola. Lola.
Yay.
Gotcha. Lola, where I wanna be, I wanna told you. What can I be? Oh, 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 Lola. Oh, Lola, you drive me crazy.
Well, I'm not sure who Lola is, but she was definitely driving Putin crazy too. He was
Well,
kept wagging his
I'm
tail.
sure whoever Lola was, he probably, she probably drove him crazy after a divorce or something,
It was 2 or 3 different people kind of like mushed together into one song.
2 or 3 different people mushed together. You
Yeah,
going back to work, Tommy?
Yeah, I gotta go. I gotta go back to the
Thank you,
grind.
Tommy.
Gotta grind some
All right.
Dublin.
Well, we'll be
All
on
right.
here after we're done for a while, so let me know when you get home.
Okay, we'll do. So
All right.
It'll be another half hour before I get home. So.
Okay. Be safe.
Okay.
Hey, peace.
Thank you,
Chicken
Tommy.
grease. Everybody, thank you so
We
much.
love you.
Keep those cards and give those cards and letters coming in, folks.
That's right. That's right. See, this is what happens when our guest cancels at the last minute. You get some serious stuff, you get some comedy stuff, and you get Tommy with no shirt on.
There you go. Singing a song of Lola. Oh, Lola, you brought me so low. You made me crazy, Lola.
We love our Tommy, though. We wouldn't trade him for anybody.
Right? Oh, my Lord. We have a lot of fun. But, yeah, so now I got to go back to being serious again after all that fun and laughter.
Yeah.
It's going to be hard, but maybe we can all laugh about it, the story. But I think what I wanted to say was, Brenda, is that I think that the religion that we've been taught, and just like when we talked about how it says one thing, you can't lie with a man, and then another story it talks about referencing a rapture, or somebody getting raptured with God and one getting left behind. But if that's the case, let's just say, for example, if being two men laying together is a sin, okay, right? So on that subject, that is considered a sin. Then you have two men that are sinning, we assume, because they're both sleeping in the bed together, right? I mean, they could just be like roommates. I don't know. But it's not really saying whether it's a roommate or if it's a lover, right? And that's in that scripture. So it says there's two men sleeping together. One's taken, one is left behind. So it's saying like one is righteous and one is not righteous. I mean, because that's always been the Christians' way of describing the rapture. They say there'll be two women at the well. One will be taken, one will be left behind. Okay.
I can't
Well,
remember. I can't remember what verse this was in, or even where it was at. But I remember one time reading a scripture that says that God says that you are married to whom you lay with. So
yeah.
when was that?
Well, that's kind of the Jewish way of the way that they did their belief system was sort of on that train of thought. That thought. Christians have a different belief system than Jewish people do.
Yeah.
But a lot of Christians do kind of adopt some of the Jewish stuff. So it's kind of mixes in a little bit. Sometimes you have different belief systems mixing together, sort of. But with that, let's just keep in mind what I just explained. Like, you have one scripture clearly saying it's sinful, no matter which side of the bed you're laying on, okay? And the other scripture is talking about, one of them is okay with God because he's going to rapture him to heaven or whatever, or right, or whatever, for whatever reasons. Now, people might argue and say, well, maybe his heart was right, maybe he wasn't, but if he was sleeping, if it's referencing that he was having sex with the guy, okay, it doesn't matter if his heart's right or wrong. He was just doing the act, okay, like, you know what I'm saying? So the act is the act, okay. So it's I know how people like to spin things in different directions and try to excuse things. It's like saying, I ran over your dog, I'm sorry, it's like, or like, or it's the dog's fault, it ran out in front of me. Well, it might have been, but you can still say you're sorry you ran over the dog, okay? The point is, you can still be sorry for what you did, you know what I'm saying? Like, even if it's not your fault. But I think if you're in bed with another person, I think you know what you're doing, or you should know, unless you're, being drugged and, whatever. I don't
Right.
know, but I'm just, I'm just saying there's a whole bunch of things people could claim or say. But on that note, is my point is that the Roman Catholic Church has created through the last 2,000 years their structure of what their followers are supposed to believe in. Okay, and the main thing that they say is that you're not saved unless you believe that Jesus died for your sins. Okay, so everything hinges on that one sentence. You're not saved unless you believe it, that Jesus died for your sins. Okay, so this is what all of Christianity is based on. Jewish people, of course, there's Messianic people that are kind of Jewish and Christian. They follow that. But according to, according to other documents, other things written, and Jesus never died on the cross. Okay, that's what's going to piss people off right there. I'm saying that's what I believe. Straight up, I believe that Jesus was not the person on the cross. And Jesus was a shapeshifter. He knew how to do that as well. And not only was he a shapeshifter, he was gifted in every gift there is. Any gift that you want to do, he could do better.
Now, do you want to tell people who it is that you believe actually died on that cross and why?
Well, according to some of the Gospels, the Book of Barnabas, it gets into the detail very clearly. It was Judas Iscariot, who was made to look like Jesus. Okay, and so he actually went to the cross because he wanted Jesus to be killed. So it was him who actually was sent to the cross. Jesus didn't die. And then but the Roman Catholic Church had a problem, because now that they got the wrong guy, they crucified the wrong guy, then now they've got to come up with a story, and say, well, their own religion, and they will come back with everything possible to change the story. But it says 3 days and nights in the grave, and Easter's on Good Friday to Good Sunday. That's not 3 days and nights. So, and then they'll say, well, they were wrong about this. Everything is wrong about everything. That's the problem. Everything is wrong. So if you got that many things staring you in the face, telling you it's wrong, you have to quit ignoring those things. It's like your gut feeling telling you that's a bad person, or that you need to stop ignoring that gut feeling. You need to stop ignoring that God feeling. If your gut is your God feeling, you need to listen to God. Okay. And you need to pay attention to those things. Okay. So if you see something that doesn't make sense, it probably doesn't make sense. If you see something you think is wrong, it's probably wrong. Or if you see, you know what I'm saying? If you see an error, there probably is an error. Like you see a guy saying it's okay, it's wrong to sleep, two guys sleeping together in Deuteronomy, it's a sin, you know, blah, blah, blah. But then you see two guys sleeping together in Revelations and one gets taken and the other get left. So you got to tell yourself at that point, you know, what do I believe? Okay. What am I going to believe? You know, am I going to choose to look at things from my own perspective at what's right and wrong and follow my gut, or am I going to let all these other religious people and all these other people tell me what I should believe, or tell me that it's okay, that I'm just imagining this, or I'm just making this up, or I'm making more of it than I should, I'm making a mountain out of a molehill? No, you need to listen to yourself, and you need to like be able to decide what's right and wrong from your own self. And so, with that said, you know, in the Quran, which the Quran also says, or like in the story of Odin, you know, it says that they took the fire from Muspelheim and they made the sun and the moon for the lights and the stars, right? So that fire, that's fire that was put there. Okay. Now, the Quran says that demons are made from fire. Okay. So, and so the Quran has a lot of information I find quite intriguing, that there is truths in there, and it also goes on to say that about Jesus, that in the Quran it says that it was not Jesus that died on the cross. It was not him that was crucified, but it was another that was made to look like him. Now, do the Muslims today, the modern Muslims today, if you were to ask one, they really don't know what that scripture means, like, because they're just like Christians following the Bible. They really don't understand their own book either. Okay. But the book says definitely Christ was not crucified. Okay. Somebody else was put in his place. So that we go back to the shape shifting ability and the ability. So, what does our government do today? Our government and these secret projects, what do, Brenda? They want to time travel. They want to hybrid people. They want to astro travel. They want to remote view. I mean, all this stuff is right in our faces. We see it every day, but we're not connecting the dots. We're not putting it together. We're not understanding that everything physical and is spiritual. Everything in our lives, in the government, in our churches is all connected. All these stories, everything. It's all right there in front of us, you know? So, you know, you don't have to believe. Look, if you love Jesus, here's my point. If you love Jesus because you believe that he was a good person and that he stood up for right and that he represented good and he represented right, and you believe that he fights for us and he's our side and he never leaves us and forsakes us, if you believe that, what does it matter how he died? It has nothing to do with your love for this man. Okay. There's a lot of people that don't know how their loved ones have died, or that wouldn't make any difference on you loving that person. Okay. That's what I'm saying. Religion cannot tell you that you have to believe a certain thing in order to love God. Okay. That's my point. You can love God, and yet you can go beyond what they've been teaching you. Okay. You can go beyond that belief, you know. But I believe that there was a blood oath from the very beginning. There's blood sacrifices. All religions have to do sacrifice. Dark magic is all about sacrificing the thing you love the most. And everything is about drinking that stuff. They do it in rituals. And you do, and what, you know, what do the satanics do in all the rituals? They do everything to do with eating and drinking body parts. Okay. And so what are you doing in Christian religion? You're eating and you're drinking body parts, but you're not just anybody, not just anybody. You're eating like the best person that ever walked this earth. You're making a meal out of the guy.
Right.
I mean, if you think about that, that's morbid. I mean, that's from my personal perspective, that is the most morbid thing you can tell me to do.
Yep.
Okay? Like I have to practice a ritual, like some kind of ritual. Like, do I have to walk around a star too, or in a circle to do this, or how am I supposed to do this ritual? Everything's a ritual, right? I have to
Yep.
do what now? I have to eat what? I have to drink what? And I got to do it a bunch of times. Like, what's the purpose of that? I don't
I've
need
been
to do
watching
that
a
to
lot of.
remember that I love God. I don't have to do that to remember what He means to me and how much I love Him. I do. I love God and I love Jesus, and I don't need to do any kind of weird ass rituals. Okay, that's
Right.
just, I just,
Well, you're
you know,
right. I mean, I've been watching a lot of videos and music. A lot of the music they have nowadays, actually, some of the music was back from when I was a kid. And I mean, and in the 70s and 80s, if you listen to their lyrics, they're not um, very wholesome, let's say that. And that's what they pointed to, that it's all part of rituals, things that they say in them, certain tunes that they put out, or I'm not talking about the frequencies, I'm talking about what they say, like how many times they may say one little thing, like a they do it 3 times. There was one that did the name of one of the um, Egyptian gods that wasn't any good, and it stood for his name when they said it in their music. So I mean, you can't really do a whole lot of anything anymore without stepping on some stones, because you have to be careful with everything you do, everything you drink, everything you eat, everything. It's
right.
ridiculous.
I just think it goes back to 2,000 years of indoctrination and control by, certain, you know, uh, the Roman Catholics, or the Greek, uh, the Greek gods, Zeus, and if people haven't read the Bible recently or at all, maybe, or some do, there's references in the New Testament where all the disciples are named after different planets like Mercury and Jupiter, and they're
Yep.
actually named after these. This is a Greek type of worship, So I mean, it's and people that have studied it know this. People have dove deep into this, have figured this out, So you know, I would just say, you know, that you don't have to. Nobody has to tell you what to believe or say you're not going to be saved if you don't believe a certain thing. Okay, you know, um, because that's between you and your God. That's between you and Jesus. Okay, you and the Holy Spirit. You and your angels. You know, that's a
Inanimate.
personal thing. Yeah, all your loved ones and your friends and your family. You know, if you're a person who tells the truth and you treat people the right way, my thought is that there's nothing more that God would expect from you or want from you than just to be yourself and be honest and tell the truth and treat people the way you want to be treated. And that's why I think it says that one day we won't need any books or anything like that. That God will be in our hearts. You know that we won't need a book to love God, but that His love will be written in our hearts. And so
As it should
uh,
be.
yeah. So I think that's where it's at. I think
Yeah.
it's the heart of, and that's why oh, certain people that we know, um, they can't do the right thing. They can't tell the truth. They can't live the truth. And those people, you know, there's certain people that are not that of that integrity. They can't be that person. They can't. So,
Right.
you know, those are the kind of people you need to walk away from. Step away from.
Well, yep.
Block,
And
keep away from. Cut
so
off, you know?
we only have a few minutes left. So I do want to say this. I've gotten some reports that YouTube, we need to fight YouTube. When they went to pull the show up, it said that we've been suspended. So I'm going to pull my little trick that I normally do on here, and I'm going to download it to YouTube. But if anybody has not been able to get it, I also do the upload on Rumble, and I still got to get with Mark and find out how to be able to do the lives on Rumble, because I may cut YouTube out altogether if they keep this up. Because if I find out that I go back and play my shows after I upload them, I play them. If I find out that it says that we're suspended, boy, I'm going to tell you what, I'm going to have me a fit, a big fit. Biggest
Gee,
fit you've ever seen.
I didn't know I yielded that much light force.
No, I think it was the video, because apparently they don't like sound on video. Like, we could have played the video and just read what the captions said, but that would have taken us all night long. So they don't like videos. I'm just saying, YouTube is just they are something else.
Hey, I pulled that off of YouTube, okay? I pulled that off of YouTube.
I know. See, it was already on YouTube, you idiots.
Right? That was from YouTube. Thank you.
I think, you know what I need to do? I need to infiltrate. I need to get a job as a YouTube fact checker.
YouTube fact checker.
Yeah. Why not? Norma, you should come with me. Let's get jobs as YouTube fact checkers and slide through as much stuff as we can. Because I just think that it sounds like a fun thing to do. What's the worst they can do? Fire us? I'll collect unemployment. So anyways, everybody, we are sorry that our guest couldn't make it today. And thanks for hanging out with us. And, you know, we had Tommy for a short. It's always good to have him when he's in
Tommy
a good
tried
mood.
so hard to get in there. He did good. Yeah.
I can't believe he's been working so late. It's been horrible.
Right.
I think I was talking to him at like 12:30 the other night, and he was still at work. I was like, don't they ever let you go home? I mean, I would start, you know, sleeping there and making him feed me. I mean,
Right.
come on. But tomorrow night,
overtime. Yeah.
yeah. Tomorrow night, we've got Rocco coming on. Rocco has found some new peace. Thank God he has. And we just love Rocco. But
Right. We love Rocco.
He's
great.
He's so calm. He needs to be calm. I like Rocco when he's calm and peaceful. And even when he's funny. And he does
He's
have
great.
his moments when he's funny. So it's okay.
He's very intuitive too. I like it. I like that. He's very intuitive. Yeah.
He is. Yeah, he hears people laughing and knows who those voices are. God.
Yeah.
It creeped me out. If I heard somebody laughing in my head and knew who it was, I'd be all like, shut up and get the hell out of there. Can you clean the cobwebs while you're in there?
Right.
that would be mine.
Well, and Doug was going to come on tonight, but Doug had he has some video that he's going to be bringing on that is really
we're going to get Doug rescheduled.
Explosive. Yeah. Really good stuff.
Yeah. We're going to get Mr. Doug rescheduled, and I'm hoping that we can get I can't believe I forgot his name already.
Mike?
No, the other one that you mentioned.
Matt?
Nathan.
Oh, Nathan Reynolds. Oh
yes.
Gosh, I really want to hear his stories. Oh my God, he's seen so many monsters. I'm just like,
right.
I just want to, you know, validate all those, because he knows about the bloodline, and he loves Jesus, you know, so, you know, he just really has quite a testimony, you know.
Yeah, so we're gonna get him on here. And And thanks for sticking it out with us tonight, guys.
Yeah,
And
thanks, guys.
we are going to get out of here, and we will see you tomorrow night. It has a channel. Yes, he does. We've been watching. We have been watching him, Norma. Like, yeah, I even watched him. So we're going to go for now, and we will see y'all tomorrow night. And like
God bless
always,
you guys.
please be
Right.
kind to one another. Good night.
Kind. Good night.
Goodbye for now, from Beyond the Box.
Please join us again for Beyond the Box, Friday and Saturday evenings, from 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. Central, 10 p.m. to midnight Eastern. Join us for more intel bombs from our extraordinary guests.
Good night, Putin. Good night, Tucker.